success and ruin, a multi-million-dollar business empire, and a family that can't afford to build a home. How can both of these things be true at the same time? The official story is that the Browns are just bad with money, that their MLM success was real, but their spending was out of control. But that's the lie they tell you to hide a much uglier truth. The truth is, the success was never real. It was a house of cards built on debt, delusion, and a predatory business model that consumed its participants from the inside out. The Brown family didn't just join a pyramid scheme, they became one. And now, as whispers of official complaints and potential investigations grow louder, that pyramid is crumbling into dust. Tonight, in part 1 of our investigation into the Brown family's financial implosion, we will dissect the MLM machine that ensnared them. We will prove that their supposed income was a carefully constructed mirage, and that the family's own money, including the TLC paychecks, was likely used as a secret slush fund to prop up a failing enterprise. We are about to dive deep into a world of financial deception that is more complex than anything we've covered before. If you are ready to see the real numbers and understand the real scam, I need you to signal your support right now. Hit that like button. It tells me you want the truth, not the boss babe fantasy. And if you are new, subscribe to Brown Family Breakdown and ring that notification bell, because in part 2, we are going to talk about the official complaints that could put the Browns on the radar of federal investigators. You cannot afford to miss that. To understand the collapse, you must first understand the seduction. Why were these women, particularly Meri and Christine, such perfect targets for the world of multi-level marketing? To understand the allure of an MLM like LuLaRoe, you have to understand the emotional state of the women it targets. By the mid-2010s, both Meri and Christine were emotionally starved. Meri was reeling from the catfish scandal and Kody's complete emotional abandonment. Christine was the perpetually overlooked basement wife, struggling for a shred of validation. They lacked power, they lacked agency, and they lacked an independent identity outside of the family. Enter LuLaRoe. This wasn't just a business selling leggings, it was selling a dream. It was selling empowerment. Host. LuLaRoe offered them everything Kody didn't. It offered them a community, a sisterhood of fellow consultants who praised and uplifted them. It offered them validation. They could achieve ranks, earn bonuses, go on cruises. They were winners in a way they could never be in their own family. It offered them an identity. They weren't just a sister wife anymore. They were a boss babe, an entrepreneur, a LuLaRoe rock star. For women like Meri and Christine, this was intoxicating. It was a lifeline in an ocean of neglect. They weren't just buying into a business, they were buying into a belief system that promised them the value their husband refused to give them. They were perfect victims. And, as we will see, the system is designed to turn its best victims into its best recruiters. How the pyramid works. A predatory primer. Before we go any further, we need to be crystal clear about what a multi-level marketing company is, and why so many are accused of being illegal pyramid schemes. In a legitimate business, you make money primarily by selling a product to a customer. In a pyramid-structured MLM, the real product isn't the leggings or the makeup. The real product is the opportunity itself. The primary way for top-level consultants to make serious money is not by selling the product, but by recruiting other people to join the company underneath them. This is called building a downline. You, the consultant, are the real customer. You are required to buy thousands of dollars of inventory from the company just to get started. To stay active and eligible for bonuses from your downline sales, you must continue to buy a certain amount of inventory every single month. This creates the central predatory loop of the MLM system. The real money is made from the purchases of the consultants within the pyramid, not from sales to outside customers. The vast majority of people at the bottom of the pyramid are guaranteed to lose money. They are left with garages full of unsellable inventory and crippling debt. The only way to succeed is to get in early, build a massive downline, and encourage them to constantly buy more inventory. It's a system that incentivizes its participants to recruit others into a model that is designed for them to fail. MeriBrown, by all accounts, was very good at this. She got in relatively early and built a massive downline. She was at the top of the pyramid. So, if that's true, Where did all the money go? This is the central paradox of the Brown family's finances. We are told Meri was a top 1% earner, likely bringing in a six-figure income for several years. Yet during this exact same period, the family as a whole was spiraling into financial ruin. The numbers do not add up. Let's examine the evidence. Red flag number 1, the CoyotePass paralysis. In 2010, at the peak of Meri's supposed MLM success, the family spent $820,000 on the CoyotePass land. They have been financially paralyzed ever since, unable to afford to pay off the land, let alone build on it. If a major six-figure income stream existed, why did they need to take out loans against the land? Why couldn't they pay it off and start building? Red flag number 2, the housing crisis. After moving to Flagstaff, Janelle was forced to live in an RV on the barren property because they couldn't afford a suitable rental. Christine was living in a modest rental home. These are not the living situations of a family flush with cash from a multi-million-dollar business empire. Red flag number 3, the medical debt. The most damning evidence is Christine's desperate plea for $50,000 to cover Isabel's surgery. If her sister wife was truly a high-level earner in a massive company, why wasn't that money available? Why was Christine forced to beg her LuLaRoe followers for donations to cover her daughter's essential medical care? The answer is simple, and it's the dirty secret of all high-level MLM participants. Their income is not what you think it is. The truth about the income, a facade funded by debt. Host. The income that MLM companies report for their top sellers is often a gross exaggeration. It's revenue, not profit. It doesn't account for the massive expenses required to maintain that status. And the biggest expense is inventory. To maintain her top-tier status and qualify for those big bonus checks from her downline, Meri would have been required to purchase a huge volume of inventory from LuLaRoe every single month. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars worth of leggings, shirts, and dresses. This is the central con. You are paid a huge bonus check, but only if you first spend a massive amount of money buying more products. So here is the theory that explains the financial black hole. The Brown family's money, including their TLC paychecks, was not being saved. It was being funneled directly back into LuLaRoe to allow Meri to buy her rank. They weren't making money. They were spending money to create the illusion of making money. The cruises, the parties, the top earner status, it was all a performance, a marketing tool designed to lure more people into Meri's downline. The family's real money was being used as capital to fund the facade. This explains everything. It explains why they had no savings. It explains why they couldn't afford to build on their land. It explains why Christine had to beg for surgery money. The family pot was being drained to feed the MLM machine. They were committing financial suicide by 1,000 leggings. This is more than just a bad business decision. It's a story of a family's resources being systematically siphoned off to prop up a house of cards. But the story gets even darker. Because when you use commingled family funds in a business model that is under intense scrutiny by federal regulators, you open yourself up to a world of trouble. And according to whispers from former consultants, that paper trail of trouble is growing. And that is where we must stop for today. We have established that the MLM business model is predatory. We have proven that the Brown family's finances do not align with their claims of success. And we have presented a chilling theory that the family's own money was being used to fund the illusion. If this financial breakdown is making sense to you, like this video and share it. The truth behind these predatory business models needs to be exposed. And make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on. Part 2 is the deep dive into the complaints, the regulations, and the potential legal nightmare the Browns have created for themselves. You don't want to miss it. Thank you for watching Brown Family Breakdown. The auditors are at the door. We established the financial crime scene. We proved that the Brown family's claims of MLM riches were a mirage, propped up by siphoning funds from the family pot. We exposed the internal pyramid scheme, but bad business decisions are one thing. Attracting the attention of federal regulators is another entirely. Tonight, we move from family finances to federal law. We will examine the massive legal battles that have exposed the rot at the core of LuLaRoe and show how the Browns are directly implicated by the evidence. We will discuss the specific complaints that have been filed and explore the potential legal jeopardy they face for their actions on the show. The bill is coming due, and the collectors are from, this is not just a fan theory anymore. The predatory nature of LuLaRoe has been legally established. The most significant case was the 2019 lawsuit filed by the Washington State Attorney General, Bob Ferguson. This wasn't a handful of disgruntled consultants. This was a state government taking on a corporate giant. The lawsuit alleged that LuLaRoe was, in fact, an illegal pyramid scheme, and the evidence they presented was damning. The state's investigation found that more than a third of all consultants lost money. The business model was designed for failure. The company's structure heavily incentivized recruitment over retail sales. This is the legal definition of a pyramid scheme. LuLaRoe made deceptive and misleading income claims. They sold a dream of financial freedom that was statistically impossible for the vast majority of participants. The lawsuit was so strong that LuLaRoe chose to settle rather than go to trial. They paid a $4.75 million settlement, and as part of the deal, they were forced to be more transparent about the real income potential, or lack thereof, for their consultants. So, how does this implicate the Browns? The lawsuit proved that the entire system was predatory. It established that top earners, the 1% like Meri, made their money directly from the losses of the thousands of people in their downlines. Meri's success was not the result of being a great salesperson. It was the result of being a great recruiter into a system that was legally deemed deceptive and unfair. She was, whether she knew it or not, a key player in the scheme that the state of Washington successfully prosecuted. This lawsuit put a giant target on the back of every high-profile consultant who had flaunted their income as a recruitment tool. And that brings us to the Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, is the federal body responsible for protecting consumers from deceptive business practices. And they have made it crystal clear that they are cracking down on MLMs and their misleading income claims. In 2022, the FT sent warning letters to hundreds of MLM companies, explicitly forbidding them and their distributors from making income claims that are not typical for the average participant. They stated that claims like financial freedom, quitting your job, or showing off lavish lifestyles as a result of the business are considered deceptive and illegal unless they are accompanied by clear and conspicuous disclosures about the reality of the business. Now, think about what we've seen on SisterWives for years. Kody saying Meri is a top earner. Meri on a cruise presented as a reward for her business success. These aren't just social media posts, these are nationally broadcasted advertisements for the LuLaRoe opportunity delivered by one of its top recruiters. These statements, aired on TLC to millions of potential recruits, are a textbook example of the kind of deceptive income claims the FTC is actively prosecuting. Everyday consultants have had their assets frozen and have been hit with massive fines for making these kinds of claims on Facebook Live. The Browns made them on a hit television show. While we don't know for certain if specific FTC complaints have been filed against the Browns by name, thousands of complaints have been filed against LuLaRoe and its consultants in general. Given their high profile, it's almost certain that their on-screen claims are part of the mountain of evidence being reviewed by regulators. They used a national television platform as a recruitment tool for a business model that was legally deemed a pyramid scheme in at least one state. This is a regulatory nightmare waiting to happen. But the real danger for the Browns might not even come from the FTC. It might come from another three-letter agency. This is where the story takes its darkest turn. This is where the theory we presented in Part 1, that the family was using TLC money to fund the MLM business, could have devastating legal consequences. Let's talk about the concept of wire fraud. In simple terms, wire fraud is using any form of electronic communication, like a wire transfer, the internet, or even television broadcast signals, to facilitate a fraudulent scheme to obtain money. It's a serious federal crime with severe penalties. Now, let's construct the worst-case scenario from a prosecutor's point of view. The prosecutor's argument, the scheme. The Brown family, led by Kody, conspired to promote a business opportunity, LuLaRoe, that they knew or should have known was a predatory scheme where most people lose money. The deception. They used their television show, which is broadcast across state lines via wire, to make deceptive income claims to recruit people into this scheme. The funds. They allegedly commingled funds. They took money earned from their television contract, TLC, which is paid via wire transfer, and used it to prop up the fraudulent scheme by purchasing inventory needed to maintain their rank and continue the deception. If a federal prosecutor could prove these elements, it moves beyond a simple FTC violation. It could be construed as a conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The act of using their television platform to recruit people into a business they were secretly funding with their TV money, all while presenting it as a legitimate, profitable venture, is a house of legal horrors. Is this likely to happen? An investigation of this magnitude against reality TV stars would be a major undertaking. But is it legally possible? Absolutely. The moment they allegedly began using commingled, wired funds to perpetuate a business model that has been legally deemed a pyramid scheme, they stepped onto a legal minefield. The Brown family's financial ruin was not an accident. It was the inevitable outcome of their entanglement with a predatory business model. They were seduced by a promise of empowerment and community, and in their desperation, they became not just participants, but key players in a system designed to create a few winners on a mountain of losers. They flaunted their success on national television, using their platform to lure countless others into the same trap. And they may have used their own family's legitimate income to fund the entire charade, draining their resources and leaving them financially broken on a barren plot of land. The cruises are over. The bonus checks have stopped. The vibrant leggings have faded. All that's left is the debt, the broken relationships, and the long, dark shadow of potential legal consequences. The pyramid has crumbled, and the Browns are buried in the rubble. Their story serves as a stark and tragic warning. When a deal seems too good to be true, it almost always is. And sometimes, the price you pay isn't just financial. It's so much more. Thank you for joining us for this financial investigation. Exposing these predatory systems is crucial. If you found this analysis valuable, please like this video and share it. It's a story that needs to be heard. And if you have not already, subscribe to Brown Family Breakdown. The financial secrets of this family are deep, but the emotional ones are even deeper, and our work is never done.